Hey, how's it going? So today we're going to be going over on how to get your perfect sensitivity while playing new Riot Games Valorant. Essentially, this is just for newer players or people that are transferring from different FPSs over. I'm going to have calculations if you're coming over from CSGO, Overwatch, or Rainbow Six Siege, where you can just transfer the exact sensitivity you have over there, do a calculation, and then you're going to get your perfect sensitivity on Valorant. So first, we need to start with just coming into the practice. You can either go to open range or you can go to the practice aim tutorial area. So what I did here is you just press F3, and then I just spawned the bots. So you can just spawn them like this, and then you could really preference. You could either have them as close as you want. So in this case, we'll just do it as close as we want. I'll kill the bots. So pretty much this guy's right dab in the middle. So what you want to do first is you want to set up your sensitivity to a point where you can do a complete 360, starting from the very left side of your mouse pad all the way to the very right side of your mouse pad. So once you get to this point, then you need to essentially write down your sensitivity that you have, including your DPI. I would recommend using either 450 DPI or 800 DPI and adjusting your sensitivity from there. Okay, so after you get your complete 360 sensitivity, which mine is pretty much just at one sensitivity aim, and then I'm at 450 DPI on my Logitech G Hub. Once you get to this point, you need to multiply your 360-degree sensitivity by 1.5, and then you need to divide that sensitivity by 2. So pretty much you just pull out your calculator. After you get to your calculator, you're going to do, for me, 1 times 1.5 is obviously going to be 1.5. So that is my uppermost of the sensitivity that I'm going to try. So you just write down in a notepad or wherever you want to do it, on a piece of paper, however you want to do this. So my uppermost is 1.5, and then I'm going to divide 1 by 2, which will give me 0.5. So the uppermost sensitivity that I'm going to be trying is going to be 1.5. So I'm going to go into my sensitivity here, and I'm going to change my sensitivity to 1.5. So this may seem really high to a lot of people, and it's supposed to be really high. The whole purpose of this is you're going to start at one extreme and another extreme. So the one extreme being 1.5 sensitivity on the high side, and then 0.5 sensitivity, not too extreme, on the low side. So now the next point of what you are going to do is you are just going to strafe back and forth. So you can do this as close as you want, however you want. And the whole purpose is to strafe back and forth and just try and keep your cursor on his head. You don't want to do any crazy jerking motions like this. You want to just try and keep it as slow and steady as you can. And so you need to do this for about 5 minutes, because you're not just going to change sensitivities and pretty much just be lasering somebody on the get-go. So give it an honest try, be honest with yourself, and just give it 5 minutes to it. Then after you do the 1.5, you're going to come in and you're going to change your sensitivity to the lower portion of the sensitivity, which would be 0.5 for me. So then I'm just going to do the same exact thing. I'm just going to walk back and forth and just start tracing. So then once you do that for another 5 minutes, you're going to figure out which sensitivity you like the most, which one is the easiest for you to maintain proper crosshair alignment on the actual dummy itself. For me, I prefer the 0.5. So what I'm going to do next, so after choosing the lower sensitivity, which would be 0.5, I will again divide that 0.5 by 2. Once I divide that 0.5 by 2, my new low sensitivity will be 0.25. So you will get rid of your highest sensitivity, which in that instance was my 1.5. And then your new sensitivity numbers will be 1, 0.5, and 0.25 in this instance. If you were a kind of person that chose that 1.5 initially, then you will times that 1.5 by 1.5, and then you'll do pretty much the same iteration of numbers. So now that my new sensitivity, I have a new high sensitivity and a new low sensitivity, I'm going to go into my sensitivity, and I'm going to put my sensitivity on 1.0, which was my 360 sensitivity. After I do this, I'm just going to do the same iteration again. Just back and forth, trying to give it a good honest try, trying to figure out how my crosshair alignment is with this actual sensitivity. Once you do that for another 5 minutes, now you're going to go in here and you're going to put your sensitivity on the low sensitivity that you had before. So this might be a little hard because it is 0.25 after all, and that is pretty slow for 450 DPI, but just give it an honest try. Yeah, see, I can already tell that I'm probably not going to be a fan of this. But once again, just give it a good honest, 5-minute try. Maybe you'll get used to it. Yeah, see, I'm already starting to get used to it, kind of. But once you do that, then you will move on to the next step. All right, so now that I've decided that 0.25 is a little bit too low on the sensitivity for me, I'm going to cross that number out. So now my two numbers that I have left are 1 and 0.5. So what you're going to have to do now is you're going to add those two numbers together. So 1 plus 0.5 will be 1.5. Then what you're going to do is you're going to divide that by 2 to find the average of the sum of those numbers, which would be 0.75. So now 0.75 is going to be my in-between number between my 1 and my 0.5. So once I get that number, then I'm just going to go back into here, put my sensitivity back on 1, because that is my highest number still. And then I'm just going to do the same training. I'm just going to keep doing this, keep doing it back and forth for about 5 minutes or so, just like every other one, and try and see actually how well I can maintain that crosshair alignment. So after that one, then you're going to go to your low sensitivity, which in this case is 0.5. Once I get to that 0.5, I'm going to go back and I'm just going to keep doing this over and over and over, seeing how much easier or how much more difficult it is. So I actually kind of like the 0.5 in this instance more than the 1.1. Easier to handle, easier to control. So now that I know that I like the 0.5 more, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my calculator and my notepad. I'm going to cross out the 1 sensitivity, and then I'm going to add my 0.75 plus my 0.5 and divide it by 2. So now my new sensitivity spread is going to be 0.75 is my high, and then 0.625 as my middle, and then 0.5 still being my lowest sensitivity. So now I'm just going to do the same thing, change it to my high sensitivity, which is 0.75. I'm going to come into here, and once again, I'm just going to continue to keep tracing, So, I give it enough time. Then I'm going to change it back down to my lowest sensitivity, which is going to be 0.5. Once again, do the same thing over and over until you feel like you honestly got a real honest assessment on it. So then once you get your real honest assessment on that, you're going to go back to your calculator and your notepad again. I know it's very tedious, but you have to hone in on the exact sensitivity that you want. So in this instance, I actually prefer the 0.75 over the 0.5. So now I would add 0.75 to 0.625, which would give me 1375. And then you divide that by 2, which would get me 0.687. That is way closer than it has been in previous sessions, with my high being 0.75, my middle being 0.687, and then my lowest being 0.625. So you're just going to go through the process over and over and over and over again until you get to a point where you can't even differentiate between the highest and the lowest. The high, if when you get to that point, you know that you're in your sweet spot because you don't notice a difference between the two. And with that, that concludes this tutorial on how to obtain your perfect practice sensitivity. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment in the section below. I'll get back to it as soon as humanly possible. As always, if you appreciated the information or liked the video at all, please drop a like and subscribe. Thank you.